Today's the day. Today is the day that I am announcing my brand new shadow work program. But before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about sin, because the 7 deadly sins play a huge role in this program. The word sin as we know it comes from the Hebrew and Greek words for sin, which means something along the lines of to miss the mark. And if we're following this line of thought, it's important to understand that we can miss the mark on both sides of the target. We generally think of the 7 deadly sins as being too much, having too much pride, too much sloth, too much anger. But if sin simply means to miss the mark, then we can also miss the mark by not having enough pride or enough envy or enough anger. When we miss the mark on sloth, we can either be too lazy or we can be incapable of rest and asking for and receiving the support that we deserve. We can have our self-worth wrapped up in what we do instead of who we are. When we miss the mark on anger, we can either have too much anger, lashing out at those around us, or not enough anger and have an inability to stand up for our needs and the needs of others. When we miss the mark on envy, we can be too envious. But more often, there's so much shame around envy, we can't even identify the emotion of envy in the first place, let alone follow through with it to understand that envy is just pointing us towards the things that we want. But when we look at sin through this lens, we find a whole new way we can miss the mark on the 7 deadly sins. One that leads to self-betrayal, good girl conditioning to the point of self-destruction, and an inability to embody our most authentic selves or spiritual path. This leads to what I call the Eve wound. This is the wound that tells us at our core we are not enough, that we are unworthy unless we are perfect, that our humanity and our womanness is inherently less than. But when Eve ate the fruit in the Garden of Eden, she knew none of that was true. She knew her humanity was sacred, and she knew she was here to live the full human experience, no matter how hard that experience might be. And the 7 deadly sins show us exactly how to do just that while pointing you to your most authentic self. This is why I'm so excited to announce my brand new 13-week small group shadow work program, Reclaiming Eve, a journey of radical reclamation. Reclamation of the stories that should have been ours, the teachings that have been lost, and reclamation of who you were before society tried to tell you. We're going to deep dive through the 7 deadly sins and heal the Eve wound. There's a 13-module course. We're doing 13 small group sessions where we're going to do deep shadow work. We're going to do ceremony. We're going to do group processing. There's integration exercises and one-on-one sessions with me. We're going to start in January. Early bird pricing goes through November 30th, and all the details are below.